Hey Boy Meets World fans, thanks for being here. Welcome back. Hit that like and subscribe button if you're so inclined. Either way, I'm glad you're here. We're talking about my favorite episode of season 1 is episode 18. It's a Wonderful Night. Ooh, the classic trope of the kid trying to sneak in an R-rated movie. Okay, so there's a continuity issue here, and it's not until way later in the seasons. But when Corey learns to drive, Alan made a big deal about him going with him and having a whole day of it. But with Eric, he's like, oh, go ahead with your friend. I like that Alan comes downstairs and he's like wearing jeans and with a jacket. And he's like, I look good. And Amy's like, I need you to wear a suit tonight. Oh, can't I stay home with Corey? No, you don't want to stay home with me. Jason is such a bad influence in this episode because Eric doesn't get his license, but Jason fumbles the truth a bit to Alan and the girls they're supposed to pick up. Alan gives Eric his car keys. Someone should have fun tonight. Oh boy, don't leave till the babysitter gets here, and the babysitter calls and bails. So Jason, being the much instigator of this episode, they see Mr. Feeney. Doesn't Eric know he shouldn't negotiate with Feeney? He's like, name your price. Spreading manure in my yard for the next 4 Sundays. 3, 5, deal. Mr. Feeney doing the tea with Morgan and the hat and the jewelry. Oh my god, it is the best. Because he's like, no ma'am, you will not pout. He gives her a whole speech and then she starts to cry. Oh, give me the hat. Okay, the thing is that I always thought it was funny how the TV is like literally right next to where Mr. Feeney is with Morgan. And it's like, he would totally hear the difference on the TV. It's so like TV trope, but it just cracks me up because they keep changing it back and forth between their R-rated movie. Not only is Eric driving without a license, but he gets the car towed in the process. And the girls they're with are ready to leave until Eric says, that's fine, I don't need you. And they decide to flirt with the tow truck guy and get the car released until they backtrack and go, oh, nope, never mind. I guess you don't need us. Mr. Feeney shows up and starts giving the tow truck driver linguistics like lessons. You're not supposed to say it like that. I don't need talking lessons from a guy wearing earrings. And then it comes out Eric doesn't have a license. And Corey's like, he's got to. Not even my brother would be that big of an idiot. Jason's, I beg to differ. Even though Jason's the one that kind of started them on this course. I love that Mr. Feeney's like, Morgan, to bed now. And she gives her a pout. You suck that lip back in. And she's like, ooh. And of course, Jason bails. He tells Eric to go to his room as well. And then he catches Corey and Sean watching the movie, rips it out of the VCR, and it's all destroyed. This is rated R. Yeah, R for wrecked. Sean bailed on Corey the way Jason bailed on Eric. Oh my god. Poor Mr. Feeney, he's so exasperated. Oh my god, they're like, this movie is trash. You are in terrible, terrible trouble. And then here comes Eric. He's like, wait a minute, you're not here. You're out driving my car somewhere very carefully. Hope you're in a good mood, Dad. You lose. It got towed. I love when Alan goes to Mr. Feeney, you are the worst babysitter ever. And Mr. Feeney's like, and your children are the spawn of Satan. I love this moment where Betsy steps in and she's like, I want to talk to you, Alan. Go to your room, Eric. And he's like, and Alan's like, is my authority being undermined? Would I do that in front of your son? Go to your room, Eric. And she's like, yeah, I want Eric to get his license. I've been waiting for this. I want him to drive his siblings everywhere so I don't have to. Oh my gosh, Eric and Corey just being like so freaked out about their punishment and impending punishment. They're like, these could be our last few moments together. I'm a dead man. And Corey's like, Because Eric's like, you got anything you want to say to me? Corey's like, yeah. And he grabs the pillow and knocks him off the bed. And then his parents walk in just like nothing happened. Oh my god. Ah, grounded 2 weeks. That's horrible. Like, Eric, you're going to study the driver's handbook and you will pass. I'll try. No, you will pass. I'll pass. And what am I going to do? You're going to watch TV. Wildlife nature educational TV. I love like Corey and Morgan like we gotta go here and there and everywhere, Eric. And he's like, I'll drive off a cliff, I swear. I love Alan. Take your mother's car. Okay, Will, once again, I'm going to have to agree with you. Massages are wonderful, especially in Vegas. One of my favorite places is the bathhouse at the Delano. So I highly recommend. I've never had a bad experience there. I don't know what you're talking about, Ryder. Massages are great. And yes, I absolutely have to agree with them again, or Danielle and Will. Always go for the longer massage because 50 minutes is never enough. I can also agree with Will. As you get older, the superpower that you would want definitely changes. Okay, I can't really agree with Ryder once again on the whole wanting to relive your life, but as a passenger and that's your heaven. Okay, man, do you? And Danielle, sleep. Death sounds great because of the sleep. Sounds wonderful. To hear these two guys laugh so hard at Danielle's honest and just, I can't wait for death because the sleep sounds amazing. And they're like, that is the funniest thing. You work so hard. You're so tired. Oh my God. She's like, I'm excited for that in the healthiest way possible. Okay. Yeah. The t-shirt. Will's like, I don't know how we make a shirt out of this, but I want it. Pod meets world, waiting for the sweet release of death. Danielle's like, oh, no one will be touching me in the bed. I'll have my own space. Oh my God, it's hilarious. And it was funny because, like, Ryder's like, you have 2 kids, Danielle. I only have 1. I can't imagine. And Will goes, that's my entire life. I have none. Because y'all made that mistake. Oh my God. I like your honesty, Will, and you still make it funny. I still want this sitcom with Will and Danielle being siblings and like grown up, you know, at least with her having kids, maybe not Will. I like it where there's a Will. Yes, make Will the eccentric, rich, like friend uncle, like just a fun guy, you know, never grew up. I love it. Writer, let's write it. Let's go. Jason really is good in this episode. He's good in all the episodes, and it always trips me out that he does the voice of Binks from Hocus Pocus. I love it. They make a good point about kids today not realizing how easy it is to have access to have everything, because when we were kids, y'all, we had to work to get those R-rated movies or those explicit lyric CDs. Like, we couldn't just download everything online, okay? Like, it was a struggle. And you know, if you grew up like that, you know what I'm talking about. Because today it's like, oh, I'll just download it, whatever. We had to work for everything. And yeah, I mean, it really was a thing about like, oh, we're not allowed to watch this. It was a very big thing. And it's true, there was always that one family that let their kids do whatever, and that's where you went to go see all this stuff you couldn't otherwise. Oh my God, yes, sneaking in the back door of the movie theater if you knew someone. And I do remember when TVs got that sleep feature, man, that was wild. Man, I remember that being such a thing. Like, all these kids would watch these scary movies and then they couldn't sleep. And I can tell you, like, I had one sleepover slumber party in my life. One and never again, because it got so out of hand because all the girls that were there had watched those scary movies and started freaking each other out, and it was just a nightmare. I was like, I remember that being a huge thing. I never understood it either. See, I think I actually have heard of that movie Rubber with the runaway evil tire that kills people. So crazy. I do always think it's funny when Corey's like, we'll fast forward through the nudity. We're just here for the violence. And that's what Eric said. I'm just talking about girls and throwing on a purple shirt. Yeah, I do agree with Will. Like, no parent would probably let their 16-year-old kid go to the DMV with anyone but themselves, especially their friend who also doesn't have their license. How are they getting there to and fro? Okay, I can agree with Ryder that when Will and Corey were in the bedroom and Corey was all excited about where all the places, Eric can drive him when he gets his license, and how Eric was really playing into that moment just to go total 180. Nope! Knocks him with the pillow. Very fun. I agree. I think Rusty looked good in the jeans too. Oh well. Best friends. Jason really did give a good balance because he was so pro with the key flip, with his jokes, just the comedic timing. But I do have to agree, he probably would have been too much to be on the show all the time, but he was a great balance when he was. Yes, Jason kind of hitting on Betsy was a little weird. It was kind of borderline creepy, but he made it work for the, 90s sitcom trope idea. I totally understand acne insecurity, especially as a teenager, but I have to say I don't really think what Feeney said specifically was mean. I think it was more based in fact of I don't want to think about what a crisis would involve with her because, yes, she has bad acne, but I think he was just more or less acknowledging that. I didn't really consider that like a dig or a joke. Well, I'm not sending in a letter, but I will say you did get a little, I felt it was a little political or whatever, or a little woke, because it's like, I mean, really, think about what Mr. Feeney said. I don't want to think about what constitutes a crisis for her or how he said that, but it's like, he was not telling a joke. It was not a dig. It was a fact. I think that was a little, I think it's a little much to say that it was mean, because I don't feel that it was mean-spirited. I think he was stating a fact. So, Eric was the one making fun of it. Corey was making fun of it. Right? Sean was making fun of it. So, like, in contrast, it's like, Mr. Feeney wasn't making fun of it. Yeah, 4 days of manure spreading really did sound like a lot. Gotta be honest, I didn't think his yard was that big. Okay, I can agree, Will, writer. Yeah, that'd be probably why they wrote this episode for Mr. Feeney. I want to see him having tea with Morgan, dressed up like a fancy tea drinking lady. Yes, I always did like that he said, I have festooned myself. Such a good scene. Ooh, good point. There was a TV in the boys' bedroom. Why were they watching that movie downstairs? I thought the girls flirting with the tow truck driver was a stretch too far, but at the same time, it was very 90s sitcom trope, and it was the vehicle that got Feeney to the tow yard, really. I kind of feel like Amy's, perspective with Alan. Yeah, I know they've done it a few times already, but it is a running theme throughout the show. It's not a lot, but it does happen. And I think it's more or less, because Amy doesn't do it all the time, but when she does, it's when he's really about to do something crazy, which illustrates that she is the voice of reason when he gets mad, because he does have a temper. So I don't really disagree with the way they did it. I happen to like the 2 weeks. Yes, it's a sitcom trope, but it's a sitcom. I think it's cute that Danielle did not realize till the very end that, she wasn't in this episode. True, this episode wasn't all about Corey. It is funny to hear Danielle say that she didn't take school seriously, considering how Topanga always did. But then later when she went to college in her late 20s, she did go full Topanga. Okay, so I'm tacking on the other podcast with Jeff Sherman, their guest podcast. I'm tacking this on the end as I do because it's so much content to cover. So as usual, the fun banter began on that guest podcast. And I have to agree, Danielle, Will and Ryder really sound like fun people to go to a movie with if they're going to always ruin it. But it sounds like Ben was even worse. So for the favorite movies, Danielle's was Goodfellas. Said it made her feel like she understood cinema. And she also loves a movie called Defending Your Life. For Ryder, it was Stand By Me, Spirited Away, and Margaret. And for Will, Willy Wonka, the OG, original Willy Wonka, and Defending Your Life, and Ishtar. And okay, Will wearing the Best Grandpa t-shirt is just hilarious because he imagines he would be the best grandpa ever. And he probably would. So Jeff states that it is the side yard. So I guess he needs to get the side yard shirt. He also gave a lot of really interesting backstory on the Topanga origin story. And apparently Jeff has a lot of old school Hollywood neighbors. That's fun. Because he has a lot of interesting stories. Hence why he is writing a book about his life, which I have no doubt would be most intriguing. I love the name, Spiraling Upward. That's fantastic. And Jeff also wrote the episode for Boy Meets World, The Fugitive, one we just saw not too long ago. And, he's right. It really did cement Sean and illustrating, his family and also the hijinks of like Corey and Sean. It was really funny. I like that Jeff compared Sean to the James Dean type. That's really cool. And he was writing that episode when that big earthquake hit, and he barely got it printed out because the guy was there to pick it up to get it over to the studio. Talk about dedication, or the show must go on. Apparently, FYI, the squirrels at Disney are just as fun and as you'd see them in an animated film. And, Will, you're right. You can absolutely critique something and still love it because with good comes bad and vice versa. I appreciate that Ryder tells his son that he doesn't fully know what he's doing all the time. Real talk. And okay, can we just take a moment to appreciate Will has offered his help in raising Indy. Because he is the best grandpa ever, after all, with his Werther's originals. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.